Hello, how is everyone today? Good Thursday to you, everybody. Sorry I'm running a little bit late today, but hey, better late than never, right? It's good to see you all. We had a fun stream last night. I drank, I yelled at Google, we talked smack. It was a lot of fun. If you missed it, of course, it's still up on the channel, but it misses something from you guys, not everyone having been there. Hello, James Keck, Rob Conley, Adam Black, Damien X247. Does that mean you're Damien 24/7? You're just always on the young Antichrist? Big fans of Pink Floyd out there at the James Keck Observatory. That's good to hear. Floyd's been on my mind a lot lately. I've been talking about Pink Floyd. I was just... the other day I was having an existential crisis, and when you reach my age, there are certain songs that fit certain moods particularly well, even if you didn't understand them when you're young, and Not Now, John from the Final Cut, which is, in my opinion, in my estimation, a very heavy, almost heavy metal sounding song from Pink Floyd. You know, they always had their own sound, the boys from England, but Not Now, John is, without a doubt, their crunchiest work. It is relentless. And like all of Waters' work after Wish You Were Here, it is nasty. It is extremely nasty. It is basically slagging the working class, slagging the consumer class, governments, everything. I mean, it is a very appropriate penultimate song for the album it's on. So yeah, I was listening to that, and then last night, one of the most criminally ignored tracks by Pink Floyd is What Shall We Do Now, which was supposed to have been on the wall. There was plenty of room on the wall to put it there, and I don't know why they didn't, but the foreshortened version, Empty Spaces, gives you a taste musically of what Shall We Do Now sounds like. But What Shall We Do Now is the musical equivalent of an anxiety attack, and I mean that in the best way. Ah, okay, so now we know. See, I never dug that deep. The horror character spelled with an A instead of an E. I based it on the name's meaning, which is untamed. So you're untamed 24/7. I like it. So James Keck is on point, 100% with a Pink Floyd reference there when I was getting things going on the stream. But anyway, so yeah, we had some fun last night talking about stuff and things. So if you want to see a stream about stuff and things, you can go watch last night's. But not now. No, sit back down. Sit down. Sit down. So I have some wonderful news. I have some great news. Tomorrow, Alan Hammock will be here. That's right, Alan Hammock. And we're going to talk Greyhawk with Alan. So he's going to be here. That's going to be just a ton and a half of fun. It's always great to have Alan on the show. Tomorrow's show will be a little bit earlier than usual. It will kick off at 12, not at 12:30. Adjust your schedules accordingly, class. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking to Alan tomorrow. And we're going to ask him a bunch of questions. Get your questions ready, because we're going to ask him about his editing work on the Greyhawk folio. And hopefully get maybe some insight into Greyhawk deities. We're going to ask him about all that kind of stuff. But having Alan on is Always a good time. This will be his third appearance on the Crazy Gibberish live stream, and we're all looking forward to that because Alan is a swell guy. So, yeah, we'll have a visitor in class tomorrow, so everyone be on your best behavior. A guest lecturer will be here. Damien says, felt like a good artist name back when I had more artistic passion before all the franchises I enjoyed went to hell. Yeah, no kidding. I think that would be all of them at this point. The absolute state of everything we love. You know, here's my advice. Listen, friends, take my advice. Pull down your pants and slide on the ice. Here is my advice for enjoying pop culture things these days. If you're my age or a little bit younger, even if you're a Zoomer or you know, whatever, Star Wars is in its own category. So if you like Star Wars, just watch Star Wars Empire Jedi. Rogue One is actually pretty good. I would kind of bring Rogue One into that. It is well filmed, well acted, well written, well directed, well produced. I would lob Rogue One into enjoying the original trilogy. Read Marvel Comics up until about the end of the 1990s. Go back and find back issues online and buy back issues. Support your FLGS. If they have long boxes out there, if they have used comics out there, buy back issues. Look at how the X-Men used to be, the Fantastic Four, the New Mutants, Hulk, She-Hulk, the Avengers, all of those. Just bring them all back. Bring it all back. Just ignore current stuff. The one thing that rose above the crap of the latter half of this 2-decade brace we're in currently, I will give the Marvel Cinematic Universe its due until the end of the Avengers saga. The MCU stayed pretty clean, with the exception of Captain Marvel. I would skip Captain Marvel. I hated Rogue One, but I would have loved to have seen a series about the blind Jedi Temple Guard and the dude with the saw. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I liked it quite a bit. I liked Rogue One quite a bit, but we're not going to debate that. What, you know, you like what you like, I like what I like. I mean, hell, they're fans of 5th edition on this very live stream audience right now. I see you. But just enjoy your pop culture from like 2010 back. Don't pay anything after that any mind, with the exception of the MCU. Because the Avengers, the MCU phase, blah, blah, whatever, that comprises those 23 movies is actually pretty enjoyable. Heretics, yeah. So I want to share something that I discovered that was shocking to me and annoying. I was looking around Facebook today. Now, those of you that followed the stream from last night or watched it last night know that I gushed about Blood Music from Greg Bear. I found out Greg Bear has an online presence, and I messaged him to tell him how much I loved the book. And he messaged me back and said, "Thank you. Have a great day." So, you know, kind of standard. You're a famous science fiction author. You're not going to pen long missives back and forth anymore, particularly not in this day of instant social media. He said, "Many thanks for your kind words, Bill." Well, what I said to Mr. Bear was, the first novel by you I read was Blood Music back when it came out, when I was in high school at the time. I remember reading it back then, and at the end thinking, wow, neat, and carrying on. I just reread it for the first time since I read it the first time, I think, and it had a profoundly different impact on me. The last chapter, describing Susie finally being okay with her apotheosis, nearly brought me to tears. What a beautiful piece of writing. Thank you for creating such an amazing work. But the point is, I'm not friends with Greg Bear on Facebook. So that message kind of came into a different in basket. But I saw it. When I looked in that in basket, I saw messages from people who pinged me on Facebook that Facebook never told me about. A dude asked me about my wizard hat, my gray wizard hat that I wear sometimes. Last year, when I was talking about the Dragonlance lawsuit, I must have come across as quite the dick because I never bothered answering him. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you for deciding how I can engage with people. Just at random. No, you don't need to see this message. It pissed me off. No, people that like 4E aren't D&D fans, so they won't be here, Wig. Rich says, Bards of Greyhawk's next music video will be about Ghost Tower of Inverness. I can't wait. I can't wait. Rich, I know you had a question for me about an upcoming project you guys are working on. I can't find where you messaged me about that. Please message me back about that again. But anyway. So yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I bitch about engagement and then I get kneecapped by the very systems that are supposed to facilitate that engagement. So that was sucky. I hated it. But anyway, Alan Hammock will be here tomorrow. Be here. Ask questions. We will have lots of questions. It'll almost certainly be a Zoom call. So, I'll set up to capture Zoom and everything like that. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. So in preparation for that, what we're going to look at today, we're starting a series, and this is based on a viewer selection. Because I'll be honest, there's a ton of stuff to cover just in the Dungeon Master's Guide alone. And I know I said we were going to start looking at the Monster Manual. And we will. It's not just going to be Greyhawk after Greyhawk after Greyhawk. I want to take a look at the Monster Manual too as a rule book. That is coming. That will be built into the streams. But the suggestion came up, what about exploring the Greyhawk deities one or two at a time? And I thought, how cool is that? I can't believe I never thought of that. The Greyhawk deities, particularly when I like getting a little spiritual and religious, and we're just coming off discussing planar things and rules and deities and demigods and such. I love the world of Greyhawk. We just got done talking about the world of Greyhawk set. Why not come in and talk about the world of Greyhawk set, because it's same as it ever was. So little Talking Heads reference there. But we'll talk about the deities of Greyhawk as well as talking about Monster. I may take a couple of days and talk about Greyhawk deities, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about Monster Manual. Just to keep it mixed up, just to keep it interesting for you guys. So it's not like, you can just grab your Monster Manual. Oh, well, we did Aerial Servant yesterday, so I guess it's the Ankh today. No, we'll keep it mixed up. Because, I'm mixed up myself. Ghosts are strange and unusual, and I myself am strange and unusual, so I can see them. Yes, the Monster Manual is a fantastic book, Iris. So, we're going to talk today a little bit, though, about Greyhawk deities. We're going to jump into that series right away. So let's bring this up. Let's open up Acrobat. And let's talk about this beautifully done header, which I look at this. I am 99.999999% certain that calligraphy there is the handiwork of Darlene. I would be shocked if that was not her work. If someone was able to mimic it so closely, but I think that's hers. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're around. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. The streets are uneven when you're down. So this is Dragon Magazine number 70. Sorry, we had a network hiccup there, guys. My apologies. But anyway, when Heronius is not listening to like Roman marching music and Beethoven and so on and etc., he's blasting the Sabaton. Now, I would imagine that our first deity is probably a Sabbath man. If we had to touch on anything, it would be a Sabbath man. Although, really, the first deity is not given her due. One of the problems that we run into in the World of Greyhawk set when it comes to deities is their relative incompleteness by Gary. Others have filled in details where they liked as they've taken the campaign in different directions. And this is one of the things we're going to ask Alan Hammock about canonicity. But no, Merlin's an Allman Brothers guy. Or possibly jazz. Merlin's not a heavy metal dude at all. I would say Allman Brothers, Johnny Cash, or classical jazz for Merlin. So Gary gives us, and let me see, did I don't have, oh, this is in the World of Greyhawk box set, and I'm going to have this in the future. I thought I had the PDF of the box set on the streaming PC. I don't, and I apologize for that. That's a failing on my part. But Gary lists out all the deities of Greyhawk. There is a division. There are major deities. There are supreme deities. And then beneath that are lesser deities. The supreme deities, the greater gods, generally speaking, don't concern themselves with the day-to-day of the people of Greyhawk. And there's the great scene in Conan the Barbarian, I pray to Crom, but he doesn't listen. And that is kind of the way that a lot of gods of Greyhawk are. The greater gods. The lesser gods will roll up their sleeves and get themselves involved. You might kind of consider it like God and saint. In fact, one of the lesser gods of Greyhawk is Saint Cuthbert. So, in looking at the greater and lesser deities of Greyhawk, and we're going to go by alphabetical order, starting with the greater deities. The first one we have, even though I do have the PDF up here, and it's Boccob, is Beory. Beory is the Earth Mother of Greyhawk. She is Mother Nature. She is concerned with preservation of Earth. That's O-E-R-T-H, not E-A-R-T-H. She's interested with the preservation of Earth. She is neutral. She is commonly worshipped. Oh God, this is so awful of me that I cannot believe that I did this, that I don't have the set. But we'll look at this. the next time we dive in, that some gods are preferentially worshipped by some societies more than by other societies. Beory is a common goddess by which she is worshipped, generally speaking, across the entirety of the Flannis. Now, whether or not that encompasses all of Earth, we don't know, because we never got that. We never got anything other than the section of the Greyhawk map we got. Is there a continent on the other side? Is there an Australia-like, just isolated, island-like continent? We don't know. Awig says, I'm going to need a primer on Backlunish, Flan, Erdian, and Sewell. Get all there. So, Rob is saying, to be a bit contrary, but that Dragon article, as well as the published material, put too much emphasis on the deities as a personality rather than the culture of the folks that worship said deity. Okay. Well, I think, if I may, yeah, don't make me laugh about Aquaria VG. The importance of Aquaria on the Greyhawk map should be considered thusly. Lenla Kafka's Lendor Isles were added to the world of Greyhawk as official Greyhawk canon, and players can reach them just like they can reach any location in the Flannis. Aquaria has kind of exiled to the backside of Greyhawk. We'll get there, Chris. Hang on. But anyway, Beory is neutral in a line. From the thin amount of information on the ground we have about her, and it's not much, because she's not written up in the World of Greyhawk box set, not even by description. Just her domains, earth, nature, water, growing things. Her alignment and her name and where she's worshipped. That's it. That's all we've got to go with. It's up to you to color in the lines. But I kind of got the feeling from various readings. You ever hear the old phrase, it's not nice to fool with Mother Nature? I am of the opinion that Beory is very much a Mother Nature spirit. Like, oh no, a hurricane's going to hit our little island, and our wooden and coral stone buildings are going to be blown away. And, we'll pray and maybe that won't happen. Nope, it happens. And it's not because she hates the people that live on the island. It's just its nature, and I'm not going to move it out of the way just for you. So, yeah, there's not a lot of sense of loving out of worship of Beory. Now, Chris brings up, is Beory supposed to be the old faith referenced in T1? See, I say no, and here's why. Many of Beory's adherents are druids, but not all of them. Not all of them. Beory has some clerics, and being neutral, she could have, I would say her form of worship would be open up to pretty much anything on the neutral axis. Maybe not neutral evil. Lawful neutral. I mean, I would say definitely not neutral evil. But lawful neutral, chaotic neutral, neutral good. She probably has adherents of all of those. Cybele in ancient Anatolia, sure. So you guys are kind of getting the flow of it. And a lot of folks might say, oh, well, then she's a goddess of harvest. No, not necessarily. Growing things, yes, but all growing things, some growing things, everybody's growing things, nobody's growing things, just the things she wants to grow. I mean, a deadly fungus is a growing thing. Is that part of her domain? Well, no, that's Zugmatoi, but you get what I'm saying. Poison ivy, kudzu, Not things you want around, but they're growing. So, what of Beory? And what of her adherents? So that's really all we have to go on with Beory. I would look at beings like Cybele, or even go back further in anthropological studies of nature goddesses for inspiration on how you think the Church of Beory and her adherents might function in your world of Greyhawk. Now, maybe you're completely different. Maybe she has grand temples across and she passes her boon and blessing everywhere. That's certainly possible. There is a goddess with a name that is very similar, Beory, who is a little bit more hands-on. And there has been some later speculation by other people, other Greyhawk scholars, that she is the pretty front face of her, that she's basically two aspects of the same being. And that's kind of her PR face when she is nice to people and she does want crops to grow, and she does want moms to have healthy babies and all that kind of thing. That's also possible too, that they are sisters. But when you're talking about the divine, the cosmic, the celestial, sister and two aspects of the same being almost by necessity are the same thing. Yes, Beory is the goddess of harvest and plant culture. See, that's what I'm saying, Rob. I'm saying she could be, basically, she's got a PR department that she puts on her Beory face for. But most of the time, she's off in the higher planes and doesn't really care. Not that she's, hateful or mean or anything, just that she's operating on a level that some people don't. Chris says, alas, I have to drop to deal with work. I'll catch up with the rest. It was good having you around, Chris. And thank you for the Cybele comment. But what we do have detailed, now that we've talked a bit about Beory, is the god of arcane knowledge and magic. And he is a greater god. I'm gonna have to ask you guys to do a little bit of homework. If you've got your Greyhawk box set handy, that doesn't parse very well, Rob. Sure, but what her religion is like for Beory. Bamesnond is having a stunk. Call a bondulance. But anyway, the next deity we have in the list, and again, you guys are going to have to look this up because I don't, unless it's listed here. Yes, functionally, she will have clerics and druids just as well. Yes, all the greater gods, no matter their indifference, will have clerics and druids. They will have people that worship them. Now, there are adherents of capital G God in our own reality, and I hate to bring real stuff into D&D discussions, particularly religion, but bear with me, who will say God cannot just be petitioned. You can't just say, hey, God, fetch me a cheese sandwich, and, it just appears before you. Or, hey, God, cure my cancer, and your cancer is cured. But they're still faithful, and they still worship. They go to church, they pray, and they experience his blessings in other ways, and feel in contact to him in other ways. That's kind of how the outer gods function. What is Beory religion like? It's whatever you want it to be. It's open temples. I'm kind of picturing in my mind's eye sort of, a ring of trees with benches and so forth and etc. If you're out in the more bucolic areas, where worshippers can observe nature. If it's in a city, their temples are going to be done up in greens and blues and browns and have great windows to look out at the sky, or depictions, frescoes and whatnot, showing the great systems of nature, rivers, trees, mountains, that sort of thing. And her worshippers will have different holy days. God's Day is smack dab in the middle of the week. It's not at the tail end on the weekend like we would have it. But to move over to Boccob, because we've only got so much time. I just finished talking about Beory, but there's not much to say. She's a greater goddess of nature in the world of Greyhawk. She's neutral. She's worshipped both commonly and specifically she's worshipped by the Flan folk. But we've moved on now to Boccob. Unlike with Beory, where we just kind of have very little information to go on as far as what the deity is like, with Boccob, we have a lot. We have a lot of Greyhawk lore. So what is Boccob? Boccob is Boccob the Uncaring. He is neutral. He is the god. Neutrality is one of his domains. Boccob is literally, his title that he's been given is Boccob the Uncaring. So his domain, it's not just his alignment, but his domain is neutrality. Look, just be neutral in everything. That's one of his admonitions. And we have stats for him also. But his domains are neutrality, magic, arcana, knowledge, foreknowledge, and foresight. You're going to have a lot of sages that worship Boccob. A wizardly university, individual sorcerers of all across the alignments, all of them will pay some homage to Boccob. His holy symbol is a pentagram. And I know that makes a lot of you guys think, okay, it's the upside down star with a, and everything like that. A pentagram literally just refers to a 5-sided figure inside a circle with an eye in the middle. Very mystical. So let's take a look at Boccob's stats, and we'll talk a little bit about him and his worship and the culture of his worship, or at least my approach to the culture of his worship. Because again, we're given a lot of the gods. We're not given a lot about their stats. So Boccob the Uncaring. He is a major god. His armor class is -8, moves 18 inches around. Hit points 354. To put that in perspective, Azathoth in Deities and Demigods only has 400. And Jim, I love you to pieces. You should have just listed Azathoth as having infinite hit points. No, your party is not going to go to the center of reality and kill Azathoth by inflicting 400 points of damage on it. Sorry, that's not how that works. Anyway. Number of attacks, 2. Damage per attack by weapon type, +2. Strength bonus. Yes, Boccob is a brawny, thewed mage. Special attacks, see below. Special defenses, +5 or better weapon to hit. Good luck. Magic resistance, 125%. That essentially means that barring going toe-to-toe and having a slugfest with another deity, you're not going to take Boccob out in a fight. Not with weapons, not with spells. He's medium-sized. His alignment is neutral. Worshipper's alignment, any clerics and neutrals. So Boccob's worshippers come from across the spectrum. from the purest, most saintly, lawful good to the most diabolical, twisted, chaotic evil, and everything in between. His clerics apparently are to be neutral, which makes sense given his neutrality. Symbol, eye in a pentagram. Plane, concordant opposition. He is neither a cleric or druid, nor a fighter. Magic user illusionist, 24th level in each. He has access to all spells. He's not a thief, assassin, nor a bard. Psionic ability, all. So he has in excess of 200 psionic points, and he can do everything with his mind. Boccob will see you coming. And yes, Zagig is down there if you saw me scroll down. Boccob, called the Uncaring, is the lord of all magics and archmage of the deities. Whether or not any worship him or serve him seems of no importance to him. Naturally, he is entreated for omens by seers and diviners. Likewise, those seeking new magics are prone to ask his aid. Sages also revere him. He rarely leaves his own hall, preferring to send his servant, the mad archmage Zagig, in his stead. Oh boy. Boccob, please, please. The trolls are about to eat me, please. Roll 3. Zagig shows up. I'll turn the trolls into bunny rabbits. Yay! I'll turn you into a bunny rabbit. Oh. So he sends Zagig. He's arrayed in garments of purple with shimmering runes of gold. They move and change. He has many amulets and protective devices. I always took that to mean that Boccob is just draped like a Christmas tree with magic items. There's one of every magic item except for artifacts and relics ever devised by magic user or illusionist. Sphere of Annihilation? Oh yeah. Talisman of the Sphere. You know it. Talisman of Zagi. Uh-huh. And the list just goes on and on and on. His favorite weapon is a Staff of the Archmage, which combines a Staff of the Magi and a Wand of Conjuration and absorbs 24 spell levels. So you're like, yeah, I'm a 25th level magic user. I got my party of 20 to 25th level characters with me. We're going to take you down, Boccob. All right, start casting. And good luck with that. Got more chains than Mr. T. I love it. He's a little bit like, let me see, I'll look here. He's a little bit like, and this brings up something I want to discuss, but he's a little bit like, is it Nyarlathotep? No, Yog-Sothoth. That's it, Yog-Sothoth. Yog-Sothoth can see all places and all times simultaneously if he wants. Boccob can do the same thing. All planes and times are open to him. He can draw from negative force of the appropriate plane to cast fear. A rolling cloud of energy, which is a double strength wall of fire. He neither seeks nor avoids confrontations. He desires balance above alignment, knowledge above all. In combination, the two forces can rend demon or devil, diva or elemental. Once per round, he can cast a disc of concordant opposition, a plane of mixed forces, which will blast into nothingness any creature under 13 hit dice or less than 50% magic resistance. Those with fewer than 13 levels or hit dice, 96 or less hit points if dice are not used, or having less than 50% magic resistance are destroyed. That's it. He can only be hit by +5 weapons, vision of double normal range into all spectrums, regenerate 1 to 4 points of damage per round. No spells or mental control or possession will affect Boccob, nor will feeble mind or similar magics. He otherwise has the attributes of typical of greater deities. And again, because I'm an oaf, I forgot my notes over on the other computer. we'll talk about what greater deities can do. And here we get what Rob has been nattering me for the whole live stream, what the worshippers are like. I'm just teasing you, Rob. I love you to pieces. Please, don't change. The worshippers of Boccob are spread throughout the Flannis. His clerics wear purple robes with gold trim. Those attaining the 9th level or higher are actually able to handle simple magic items normally usable only by magic users. Wand of Illusion, Crystal Ball, Robe of Useful Items, and any similar devices. So not, like a long-toothed dagger or what have you. Services to honor Boccob involve complex rituals, incense, recital of formulas, and readings from special works, honoring knowledge. So yeah, you're going to find Boccob worshipped everywhere, potentially by everyone. You're going to have deities and beings that are going... Or rather, you're going to have worshippers and beings who will bend the knee for Boccob, but Boccob doesn't care. It's part of his makeup to not care. It's not that he hates you. He's just indifferent to you. And as long as you and whatever other worshippers accept that he's indifferent to you, you can go on your merry way exploring and gaining knowledge. I would expect that a temple of Boccob would be more like a wizard's inner sanctum. While there would be worshippers of Boccob, temples, I would think, would tend to be understated. Places of quiet reflection. Remember, Boccob doesn't want you and your party of 10 adventurers and 25 men at arms rolling into a cathedral and talking about how they're going to go kick open doors and slay creatures that, have offended the village. The priests of Boccob are going to say, that's nice. That has nothing to do with us. They're not indifferent that they're going to sit back and let themselves be destroyed. I would imagine that they would fight as ferociously as anyone else. I mean, they're not the neutrals from Futurama. If you see my wife, tell her I said hello. My gut tells me it could be either. No, they're not like that. They're not going to sit idly back and be destroyed, but they're not going to upset the balance that they sit on. They're not fence sitters who don't take an active role in things. It's just that matters of good and evil are below or above followers of Boccob. Now, there's something I want to mention. I want to take a step back and talk about the 10,000-foot view of deities, which if I was on top of my game today, I would have done that first. But hear me out. We can wrap up with this, and then I'll kind of touch on it again later as we move on. And I explained this to my buddy Alan when he had a visitation with his character's goddess. What you see, the scintillatingly beautiful woman, the brawny thewed being before you, when you're talking about the major gods and goddesses, even if they express a degree of love and so on, what you're getting out of deities in Greyhawk is that they are as far above you as you are the bacteria on the bottoms of your feet. If it could comprehend, its tiny little mind would be destroyed once it got the whole picture of you and me and what we're capable of. Now, granted, there's always a bigger fish, but that suddenly self-aware bacterium would realize that you are the totality of its universe, and that the things you do going through the day, combing your hair, getting a glass of water, speaking of which, I'm a little parched, are so alien to it that it couldn't comprehend. It would go insane trying to figure out, why you move that strange gargantuan galaxy-sized bit of matter back and forth. What does that do? What does that accomplish? Its tiny little philosophy couldn't absorb that. But let's say you put him on a microscope slide and you could parse information to him by adding sugars or proteins that it could consume. You're not the sugars and proteins, but you're giving them that as a sense of, I'm communicating with you on your level. That's what the physical aspects of the major gods of Greyhawk, and even to a degree the lesser gods of Greyhawk, are like. When you die and you find yourself standing before Weejas, she's a beautiful, slim woman with, piled up hair, ringlets in a lovely thing, and she's wearing a Mandarin style dress, nails done in red, lips in crimson, all that sort of thing. You're not seeing what she is, you're seeing what she wants you to see. And that's true of, I believe, of all of the Greyhawk gods. If you see what they really are, if they showed you, and you could perceive it, you could take it in, you could see it all in one look. I mean, think about going out into nature, and it's like, here's the Rocky Mountains. You don't look and see, oh, okay, there's the Rocky Mountains. There's some of the Rocky Mountains. There's what you can see in 120 degrees. And you continue to look and peer, and it just keeps going. Because that range of mountains, the Western Mountains, I mean, that goes from like the tip of South America to the tip of Alaska. It runs the entirety of that. You can't take that in at a glance. And that's what the actual aspects of these beings are like. They, as we say in communications technology, demux. They mix down to a level that you can understand. So when you see Boccob and he has these different physical aspects, you're seeing what they can show you without annihilating you. Not that they would do it hatefully. Not that there's lawful good and neutral good deities who want you to be okay. I want you to be okay, but I can't show you my true aspect. It would blow your tiny little mind, human, if I showed you that. So when you have interactions with deities as a character, as a player at the table, you're seeing like the tiniest scintilla of what a god can be. When you're DMing one and you say, for whatever reason, you done fucked up now, and Boccob shows up to settle your stuff, you're only seeing his avatar, an aspect that he's showing you. Probably so he doesn't accidentally tear a hole in reality by impinging on you his own reality. Keep that in mind. It's not just a really, really powerful guy. Gods, deities, and demigods, some greater heroes and lesser demigods are still close enough to where they started as humans that, yes, the physical form you see is the physical form. They haven't attained to the levels of power where it's like, okay, Boccob, you are the living embodiment of magic. That's not something that people can see. I think one of the funniest, I've seen this before, is there's a picture of a Chad in a bar and he's got a beer in his hand. He's like, "Hey, baby, are you an angel? Because it looks like you just fell from heaven." And the next panel is this kind of nightmarish sphere of wings and eyes and bands of energy and the creepy font dialogue coming from it. "Fear not, I bring peace." Sort of thing. You know, the Raphaelian angel of beautiful woman with spreading white eagle wings and the coiffed blonde hair and so on. That's not, no, you go back into the Old Testament, they're not like that, you know. Awig says, "I view deities as synonymous with their portfolios, so the essence of the god of music is like listening to all the music ever created at the same time." That's a great approach to take. The physical forms that they take in Greyhawk is a convenient way to interface with the people that they love, or if you're, in the case of Boccob, the people that they are aware of. But the major gods don't really concern themselves. I mentioned before that Alan's character, the Paladin, got audience time with Wee Joss. That's how important the situation was. The major deity showed a friendly aspect of herself in physicality. Well, she got brought to Wee Joss's plane. Wee Joss would not deign to come to Earth ever. So keep that in mind when you're doing your Greyhawk gods, guys. Keep it in mind that they're the major ones, particularly beings like Boccob and Beory, are there to present they are elemental existences. They are not really super duper powerful people. And it's not that they're hateful. It's like, let's go back to the bacteria. Let's say you're just enchanted beyond all understanding the word to find out that little bacteria is self-aware and you want nothing but the best thing for it, but you got other shit to do. So you keep it on its slide. You keep a little bit of sugar and protein and moisture going to it. But it's not your only concern. You've got things that it can understand that you're taking care of. So Boccob is the uncaring. Beory is neutral and doesn't much, you know, as long as nature is kept in balance, whatever, y'all. But you know, your characters in your games that you're running, this is not like a, hang on a second, I gotta call Beory up and talk to her about, you know, the droughts we're having, or, you know, why so many damn conifers? Can you help me out with that, Lady Beory? She's not interested in or interacting with you on that level. This approach to gods is so Lovecraftian. I like it a lot. Yes. I would be careful. There are some Lovecraftian beings. Remember, the elder elemental god that Gary had intended for the bad guy in the Temple of Elemental Evil, and the being that the party was supposed to fight at the end of the Giants series, and Tharizdun itself are elder elemental beings. Tharizdun is probably most like Azathoth, and they are inimical to human life. They want you to fuck up and get a glimpse of their total reality. They care just enough to despise your existence. It's like you go out in the kitchen one morning to make up a cup of coffee and there's sugar ants, and you just kind of like that because you don't like them. You don't want sugar ants on your counter. So you mash out the 5 that have stuck their heads out, and maybe you throw an ant disc down that destroys them. That's Tharizdun's view of you. But there are equally titanic beings that don't hate They're aspects of good. So keep them in mind. Remember, it's not... Greyhawk is not a grimdark setting, and it need not be a grimdark setting. And in fact, I think there's enough Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Warhammer 40k based games, Shadow of the Demon Lord, Call of Cthulhu, games that are grimdark. But first edition AD&D doesn't have to be them, even if the greater gods seem a little above you. It's just what they are. They are above you. And you're going to find them all across Greyhawk. But remember, you're not interfacing with the gods all the time. Ever. It's a rare thing that can happen. But you're not... It's not like, oh, Boccob, could you help me out? Poof! Cloud of incensed smoke. Yes, you called. I'm here. I'm indifferent to what you want, but I'm here. That's not going to happen. But a lesser deity, a lesser being, would be nice to players. It might be scary. Like, again, to go back to the bacteria, you're like, oh my God, this is an intelligent bacteria. I'll just move you onto this slide. I mean, imagine the Almighty just kind of picks you up by your collar and moves you onto a cloud, and you just wake up every day and there's this massive feast, and occasionally you see this, galactic supercluster sized eye just kind of leaning down and checking you out. How terrifying that would be. But I don't view them, as like horrible, awfully squiddy things. They're entities of, like Awig said, they're synonymous with their portfolios. So if Beory showed you her true aspect, not the mind-destroying one, but the one that you could comprehend, but not a forward-facing, rotund woman that looks like she works on a farm and tends a garden all day, you might just literally find yourself in an infinitely stretching plane of plants and animals and streams and hills and mountains that was alive and talking to you. So not just, oh, well, it's just like being in heaven. No. Because when you look out across the plain, you see like this tornado that's bigger than the solar system that you currently occupy a space on a planet of. So keep that in mind when you think of Greyhawk gods and you think of them interacting with your players. And tomorrow we'll take another couple of deities and we'll see if they have stats. And we'll talk about their aspects. Now, to a greater or lesser extent, other writers within the bounds of first edition AD&D did add to the deities and demigods of Greyhawk. I very carefully take those items to incorporate into my game. If you Google, I don't know, Tharizdun. Tharizdun never got it right up much. Not in terms of stats or anything. For 3rd edition, 4th edition, and 5th edition, and even 2nd edition, there's people who filled in the blanks. A lot of that stuff can be it can spark good ideas. Yeah, Ricky, you're here at the end. It's 12:30 Eastern Standard every day, dude. But let it spark your ideas. Don't let it overwrite what you know to be right in terms of Greyhawk lore. If it doesn't fit, don't use it. If it doesn't fit your campaign and it obviously goes against the intent that Gary had laid down, don't use it. That is my advice. But we'll go on for a few more minutes, Ricky. I'll answer questions. Damien said, the meme is a bit off. At lower ranks, angels are described as humanoid. It's the higher ranks that start looking more eldritch. Like the lowest ones are described as human made of light. Okay, fair enough. But I want to take a look at something, and if you guys have any questions or comments, Rob's had some great input in the live stream today. I want to take a minute. Let's see. Demetrius made a comment, about the approach to gods being Lovecraftian. What are my thoughts about Tharizdun being behind the TOEE? I think Tharizdun being behind the TOEE is a damn fine and better approach than what Frank Mincer wrote by a mile, because that's what it was supposed to be. The elemental was in the same sense that Azathoth is a nuclear swirling mass of chaos. It's not Azathoth is not an atom bomb that's spinning around. That's not what swirling nuclear mass means. Elemental evil does not mean earth, air, fire, and water. By these powers combined, we're bad guys. I don't know what Mincer was drinking that day, but that was not Gary's intention with the Temple of Elemental Evil. It was evil as an element itself, like Tharizdun, or the Elder Elemental God that was supposed to be the ultimate enemy at the end of the GDQ series. But the intention was not for Earth, Air, Fire, and Water to be evil. Temple of the Elemental Eye was his main cult. Exactly. And that's why we have the Elemental Eye image showing up right smack dab on the cover of T1, aka WG1. So that's why. And I am almost tempted to look at the Temple of Elemental Evil box set that Goodman Games just released to see if any of that information is in there. But we're going to get to Tharizdun soon. We're going to get to Tharizdun, well, not soon, but eventually we'll get to Tharizdun. Now, Gary had Tharizdun as a major player in his Gord the Rogue novels. Not in the sense of Tharizdun like hanging around doing fun stuff, but in that there were people trying to tap Tharizdun's power. They do, and they come to regret it. But Tharizdun is so bad. Okay, let's go back to the bacteria cell, your body, and you. Tharizdun does not represent, hey, what if you were aware of the bacteria and its thoughts and you tortured it all the time? That would be like demons from the abyss. Tharizdun is the being that wants to come along and kill you and the bacteria that you got off the bottom of your foot. So Tharizdun doesn't just want to destroy you. Tharizdun wants to destroy the universe. Did I give my thoughts on... I did not give my thoughts on incorporating real-world deities. It can be tricky. Because, see, when I Google Greyhawk deities, like, everything that's been written, everything that's come up in Dragon Magazine since the beginning until like Dragon Plus, everything not only that Gary wrote, not only that Jim wrote, not only that Mincer wrote, and not only that other guys who worked at TSR during the AD&D era wrote. There's people that wrote things for 2E. There's people that wrote things for 3E. There's things that went into the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. There's things that... And there are hundreds... Oh, my voice is fading. Not hundreds, but there are dozens of Greyhawk deities. And it just becomes a little ridiculous. I would think, if you're talking about Greek gods, Japanese pantheons, and so on, we go back to the aspects discussion. These beings are powerful enough that they are consciously, readily, easily aware of the multiverse. On Earth, our Earth, a mythic Earth, they're able to appear as Mars or Susano. But on Greyhawk, they might appear as Hextor. I'm not implying that Susano was that evil, but if the party were to ever meet them and the discussion got deep enough, you might say, on another aspect of your planet, I'm this. Well, and then for a second they look like Mars or Susano or something to, Indra, some other supreme deity being. Moving those deities and their aspect to Greyhawk does not thrill me, because yes, they have their own mediums, they have their own considerations. We just got done discussing how major gods in Greyhawk aren't really concerned with the day-to-day of you. They have their own considerations, but they are shaped by the expectations of their worshippers. So to go back to Susano, the Japanese god, he's that way because his people are geared to perceive him that way. If they were in a Native American culture, they would perceive him another way. If they were in a Greco-Roman culture, they would perceive him another way. So it's not so much that they can't appear there, it's just that it doesn't make sense for them to appear there. Like, why would Apollo and all the baggage that comes with being Apollo be something that Greyhawkers would be cogent of? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because we're just about going to wrap it up there. I had a lot of fun talking about Greyhawk deities today, and I'm sorry for yelling in your ears. Headphone warning. I had a lot of fun talking about Greyhawk deities today. Tomorrow, Alan Hammock will be here. The show is at noon, not at 12:30, but we're going to have Alan Hammock, TSR vet, artist. He's pretty much the American Christopher Lee. He's doing rock album stuff, and he's a writer of fantasy things. So we will have the great Alan Hammock here tomorrow, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking to him. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by today. My voice is absolutely about to auger in from 30,000 feet. So I will let you go. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Please spread the word around. We are at 788 subs now. Tell all your friends. Tell all your friends to come by, and Alan Hammock and I will talk about the history of editing Greyhawk and TSR things, and bring questions. We'll ask Alan your questions. So don't just think, oh, well, I'm going to sit here quietly. No, ask questions, and I will tell Alan, Ricky Maru wants to know, what was Merlin's shoe size? So, well, Ricky, it's, So please be here. And please tell all your friends. At 788 viewers, I feel 180 degrees around from where I was feeling on Tuesday. So please stop by and please check us out. Like, subscribe. If you're just driving by for the first time, you're like, Greyhawk Gods, this guy's kind of interesting. Click that subscribe button and click that bell icon down there. And subscribe, because if you are one of those people, I will just let you know, when this channel hits 1,000 subs, virtual mini convention. That's right. Yours truly will run an online mini con where we will play classic Dungeons and Dragons, first edition AD&D and original D&D. We will play Gamma World. We will play Tales from the Loop. We will play possibly even some Twilight 2000. Kyle Schuant will be DMing during that con, so you can go over and you can try out his fantastic role-playing game of adventure and combat conflict. So do all those things, and when we hit 1,000 subs, we're going to have his final time. You guys have an absolutely amazing day. I will see you tomorrow at lunch when Al Hammock will be here. Peace, everyone.